In this video, we will look at how to update and modify the Excel sheet used to generate the device tests for the monitor software. On this first tab here, we have the basic monitor function. This does not include any tests and allows us to have the device test document open while not displaying any pass-fail criteria. Along the bottom, we have all of the units that we want to use for testing. The name for each tab is what populates our drop-down menu on the monitoring software. These can be devices with both pulse and flow settings, devices with only pulse settings, or devices with only continuous flow settings. For devices with both pulse settings and continuous flow settings, you can test either set of parameters first, and we will look at examples for both options. It is important when you create a new sheet that the values are in the correct cells. The easiest way to do this would be to copy a version similar to what you would like to add. For a detailed list of requirements for each sheet, you can see the instruction manual for specific cell locations. Some important parameters are serial number, date, customer, and tester serial number. These values always need to be in the same locations. For a device that will only have pulse settings, or where you want to test pulse settings before continuous settings, you will want to have your first set of test values in cell B14. A good example for a device with pulse settings first is the Care Eclipse 5. You can then add as many rows of data as you would like. At the end of the pulse settings, you can have up to 7 empty lines before listing flow settings. Flow settings will need to be listed starting in column C. For a device that will only have flow settings, or where you want to test flow settings before pulse settings, you will want to have your first set of test values in cell C14. A good example for a device with flow settings first is the O2 Concepts Independence. At the end of the flow tests, you can again have up to 7 empty lines before listing pulse settings. Pulse settings will need to be listed starting in column B. On each sheet, you can replace any of the images to change what will be populated on the report. You can also put a name for what device you are testing. If you are testing a conserver that runs off of a bottle or some other 100% oxygen source, you can disable the oxygen concentration portion of the test by changing this value from an N to a Y. We can set our breath rate to anything we would like, from 10 to 40 breaths per minute. Generally, we do all of the tests at one breath rate before changing to another breath rate. But you could also do multiple tests at various breath rates at one pulse setting and then move to the next setting. The test may take longer this way, as it will take a little bit of time for the breath rate to stabilize each time it is changed. Next, we list the device setting we want to test at, followed by the nominal volume for that setting. These values can generally be found in the user manual from the manufacturer. Next, we have the trigger pressure. This value is given in some user manuals, but not every manufacturer publishes this information. Finally, the oxygen concentration will be displayed here. We don't need to put any values in this section. However, if we want to change our pass-fail criteria to something other than 86%, you can edit the formula in this column and put the minimum passing oxygen concentration. In the continuous section, we have our flow setting and the expected flow rate, followed by the oxygen concentration. If you need to change the pass-fail criteria for any of these parameters, it can be done by editing the formula of the cell with the pass-fail indicator. In this example, we can see that we are looking for a volume within 15% of the nominal value. These tolerances are also often published in the device user manual. For additional guidance on generating this Excel sheet, please refer to the user manual.